This is how much I like you guys. We're gonna put on a show today. Oh my god, it's so good. So good! Please finish these gloves. Please don't mess it up. Please. Please don't mess this up.
A few moments later.
There's a chance to save this. I need to get the prefix off. I can fix her. I can fix her, guys. Don't worry, I can fix her. I'm gonna fix her. All right. Suffixing. You're seeing every possible gambit you can possibly see here. We're gonna YOLO. I mean, I don't care that there's 3 different mods that can hit. I am gonna hit tier 1 faster speed. Watch me. Dext. Dext. Now I gotta get Dext off of there. I went elevated crit. Elevated crit, dude! It's gone, it's dead! It's the dead glove again! Oh, now I got the Dext off. And we are back to square one. And I'm out of currency. I'm just simply out of currency. We're gonna have to revisit this. Hey there, good morning everyone, it's Snoo. Today we have a crafting video for you, which is not something I'm super well known for, but I keep getting so many requests for this. I think this is the most requested video I've ever had as far as crafting is concerned. These gloves right here, which are a pseudo 8-link for an Abyssal themed Frostblades build, which is a pretty quirky build I'm running, but I ultimately landed on these being the best thing, even better than typical Squire 6-link that you would otherwise probably run with this build. So I have very good reasons for using these gloves. I'll explain why, but I'm going to bring you along for the ride as well with a time lapse of me recrafting these gloves in real time. Not for profit exactly, but to improve them. They're not exactly what I want, not all tier 1 obviously. And the chosen mod, I would like melee instead of projectiles, but it's still pretty good. So, hopefully you enjoy this video. Hopefully you get some insightful information. It's not every day you'll see a new craft of something that, as far as I know, it's not even... I'm not aware of these gloves, this exact craft being like this for any particular build, but they do seem so in the case of mine. I tried a lot of different combinations, and this is what I arrived at. So, you're all welcome to join in on the fun. Please don't tear the market apart with these. The supplies are not infinite. But, yeah, let's get started. Okay, so let's begin with the reasoning for these gloves in the first place. The most obvious reason is I can't even support a 6-link. So I don't have a 6-link available in the gear. I'm trying to use Shroud of the Lightless, which is really going crazy ham on all the Abyssal jewels, get so much value, the combination of Light Poacher, Shroud of the Lightless. Before I had, Darkness Enthroned without Headhunter, and I had, Bubonic gloves, and then I also had Tomb Fists were really good, but we're trying to elevate the build and keep as much power through the Abyssal Jewels as we can by getting even more powerful pieces, including the gloves. And then I also didn't go with the Squire route. I think the most obvious route, if just somebody was typically making a build like this, they'd probably use the Squire. But I looked into that in PoE and ultimately arrived at the conclusion that it was less powerful, especially with some of the defensive mods that you can get on here, like that huge block chance of life, the suppress. And I also want life regen, actually, but I don't have that on this, so maybe another shield at some later date. But the most important role on the shield for me is the chance to avoid elemental ailments, which combined with the boots, and then an additional 20% on the tree gives me a full 100% cap there. If I don't have it on the shield, then I have to wear Ancestral Vision Jewel, which then just really takes a major hit on the remaining jewel slots that I have on the build. I really don't want to have to pay a jewel slot if possible. It costs a great deal for a build setup the way this is. And so I looked for all the different avenues I possibly could and ultimately arrived on these gloves, which actually happen to be amazingly good as a pseudo 8-link. Even like faster projectile support, which doesn't technically increase the damage much, is extraordinarily good for Frostblades in particular. And yeah, Now, for the glove slot, in general, it's really contentious, and most people would be running Eldritch gloves, and they would think you'd have to do that with the additional, Val skill adjacent target hits up to 2, or maybe the rage on hit, or maybe the conversion, elemental conversion, but I actually don't need any of those things because, again, Frostblade already converts 60, not 50. Many people are thinking this through the lens of Lightning Strike, which is more meta. So I don't need the additional conversion there because I can get it on the Mastery or Watcher's Eye, the remaining 40% quite easily. So conversion's not an issue for this build. And then also the adjacent Val target doesn't matter nearly as much for Frostblade. It doesn't matter at all for single target, and for clear, we already have so many projectiles anyway, it doesn't make a huge difference. As far as rage is concerned, claws and daggers, more typical setups for these builds, but I'm choosing to use a sword, and it just so happens that Blood Scent works for this particular cluster, so really being able to answer that issue pretty easily. There's obviously a lot more other rage options and things down the left-hand side of the tree, but again, most of the builds kind of like this are going to stay over here where there's not particularly good rage options. I wouldn't use a Lethal Pride with Paradoxica, obviously, anyway, so I get to have Brutal Restraint and a really great cluster setup. So I can kind of answer all of the other normal issues that would come into play with choosing not to use Eldritch Implicit Gloves. It works out super well for this build. Let's now look at the step-by-step process for crafting these gloves. It looks like a really complicated craft, but I promise you it's not that confusing, or at least it's not that expensive in the current state of the game. So the first two modifiers are actually kind of the hardest ones to get, the ones that are, shall we say, the least deterministic in order to get the most variable range possible. And we're going to we have to start with an essence modifier. And again, we can't fracture anything, which is unfortunate because it's a traditional influence craft. So the essence modifier is all the way down here. This is an essence of Hysteria. And this is going to give us a huge flat fire damage roll. Flat damage is so powerful with Paradoxica. It scales tremendously well off of it. And it's actually kind of mandatory with the setup to get a flat some other element that's not cold. Otherwise, Trinity's not going to work. So this is basically knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone, giving me a different element, scaling, and then just scaling really well off of Paradoxica in general. And so that's pretty self-explanatory. Hysteria is much cheaper this league than in most because everybody's able to farm essences like crazy if they want to. Next up is we're using an Elder Influence, so we're going to be going for, as far as the second modifier, in conjunction with the Essence Slam, we're also going to try to hit faster attacks. Faster attacks, socketed gems are supported by faster attacks. You can see up here, take note of the level, at level 82. Okay, that's not the highest level, but for tier 1, that's where you got. We also have elevated mod down there, which looks kind of nice. Got onslaught on kill, which isn't super important, but may potentially be. The reason we're doing faster attacks and not crit is because the third modifier we're going to go for will be crit. And we can see it's right down here. Socket attack supported by crit. And you can see this variance is quite big. This is the one that's most important to hit the higher tier. And if I can elevate one, I will, which would involve the Maven currency, which isn't part of the craft, but it might be in a certain scenario. And so this is item level 84. Don't worry about 94 up here. It's not important. For elevated, it doesn't count. But 84 is the maximum tier of all the different modifiers. So there's your answer. You need item level 84 plus gloves. 85 you don't need. Okay, and then the suffixes will be done. The next thing to hit will be faster projectiles. Okay, it's right here. And it's the only speed prefix, so that'll be easy to hit. By the way, that was the only crit suffix, so that will be also easy to hit. The third and fourth modifiers are very easy to get. And then the fifth one will be the Chosen mod. And the Chosen mod, the best one by far, is melee on here. So socketed gems, melee gems, plus range is nice, but plus melee range gems good. You'll notice that I had projectile on mine, which I don't think matters that much with the pierce. I don't think it really affects anything. So the second best and certainly fine. I don't think you need to blow the bank to try to hit melee over projectiles, but definitely one of those two if you want the really good pair. And then the last thing to do will be Benchcraft Life, which is, all the way down here. And yeah. So that's all the modifiers in play for these gloves. So again, it starts with flat fire, followed by faster attacks, followed by crit, followed by faster proj, then the Chosen mod, then the Benchcraft, in that order. It gets progressively harder to hit. Well, no, not true. The second and fifth mods are the hard ones to hit, and the fifth one is really expensive. Everything else is pretty easy and relatively cheap. Okay, and so here is the breakdown. This should be really good for you visually to understand exactly the materials. These are the bare minimum materials that will be required for this craft. first of all, Gilded Fossil, because it's always kind of a nice idea to put the extra implicit, and we will need to change the influence over. Do not make the mistake of purchasing Elder Influence gripped gloves. They are the best because they have the free implicit. You will pay an arm and a leg to get it already influenced that way. In fact, it's probably a profit craft just to change the influence. We can change the influence with only 1,000 crystallized life force randomly, and you might end up paying like up to a divine for it, but chances are we'll hit it in, you know, bare minimum 1,000 life force there. Followed by 1 Essence of Hysteria. Probably have to clean off the 3rd suffix with an annul. Followed by 1 copy of Reforge Crit with suffixes cannot be changed. That's where this one is. The 4th modifier, we can use the Wild Bristle Matron, which is basically a replacement for the Benchcraft. Much, much cheaper. I got these for 50C a piece, and there'll be a Reforge Speed, will be the only speed prefix we can get. Then the most expensive and precarious modifier to hit will be the 5th one. Do it again with the Veiled Orb. And then 4 Alchemy Orbs. So for the life craft, this is the bare minimum cost of the craft right there. And then these are hopefully will cover my bases for all the remaining things I need to hit. So let's get started with the craft, and let's see how it goes.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, I didn't really want to split this into 2 segments, but kind of didn't have a choice. So back to the Recombinator we go, starting from step 1. Feeling confident that we're going to make something happen this time. Okay. Interestingly, I have a much higher chance of hitting faster attacks, although I might lose the level here. As you can see, I am using some junk gloves. I felt like that's probably smart to do. The market is, again, really dry on these essences, so something had to give. And I definitely didn't hit, did I? Oh, no, I did hit. Wow, it missed the dex. Pretty rare. And it hit the right base. Perfect. Like I said, feeling good. Okay, I got a little bit more money in the bank now, so we can hopefully sustain this all the way to the end. Step 3, Reforge Crit. Wow, hit tier 1. And barely left an open prefix. I hit tier 1 rarity. Huh. Tier 1 rarity. Tier 1 rarity? No. Nah, I can't mess with that. So far, so good. Wild Bristle Matron. Which is not here. She's over here. We're gonna get that cheap suffixes cannot be changed. Do Reforge Speed, guaranteed prefix. Hopefully get tier 1. That'd be crazy if I had all tier 1. No. Not even close. This is where I get mixed up, isn't it? It's always where I get mixed up. I already have double tier 1 suffixes. Let's just leave the suffixes. I hate having gotten that elevated crit mod before and losing it, but it's really just not smart when the suffixes are already that good. Unless I have infinite cash and don't care, but that's not the case right now, so. We do this again? Oh, I will slam with the Maven Orb if it closes the prefixes. Yeah, that would be the time to do it. But it didn't. Oh. Your boy needs some more life force. That should do it. Just again. But again, this Metacraft is much less expensive than usual, so I don't feel that bad about it. Not sure if I want to settle for tier 2 or not on the faster proj. It would look so much prettier if I didn't, wouldn't it? Well, now I don't have to. Okay, big moment coming up soon. We get the Veil Orbs out. Got all tier 1. Almost like clockwork. We hit. Oh. And the final test. Not yet. We need to close off something, convert some random element. Give ourselves the best odds possible. I didn't hit melee. But I did hit Proj. So it is definitely an upgrade. Alright, we're going to have to settle for that. A minor upgrade. Well, we did it. We did it, guys. I might even divine it. Let me, yeah, I'll at least divine the attack speed suffix. Divining's pretty simple. Can we get that proj speed? Oh, it hit. Perfect. 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 Oh, man. That's a pretty nice glove. Again, I don't think Pierce matters. It's kind of weird, like, with the interaction, because Split works first. So Split is a fork chain mechanic through Fury Valve that it does all that, and then the last hit that it does, it pierces one more time, and then returns. Maybe it's like a net positive, but I'm not really sure. I don't think it matters, like single target at all. So, again, I'd still rather have melee, but Frostblade is a projectile and melee gem, so it counts in both cases. I suppose I will check the DPS number real quick and compare it. Oh, I might need to Sacred Orb these. I do have the special implicit too. Yeah, kind of do. There we go. Yeah, let's do a couple of these. Look how cheap these are. So cheap. There it is. There it is. 300 evasion. Alright, hideout damage is 544,000. And it's going to be... I need some elevated gems, by the way, don't I? Boom! 567,000. Whoa! A little bit better. And these will be to be sold. Alright, isn't that crazy? Come back next day. Have a little bit of confidence and go into it. It's not elevated. I know, it's not elevated. It sucks. I should just what if I just did that? What if I whoop? No. It'd be idiotic. Oh wait, this is not even the right gloves. They're up here. Beautiful gloves. And how much did they cost me to make? I didn't actually track this stuff, but at least we came back strong on day 2. So I guess it was definitely like more than 30 div. Yeah, definitely blew through like 30 div. I think it was like somewhere around 30. Maybe 40? I can't remember exactly. Because it didn't happen all at once either. So, just to recap, guys. To recap the craft. I think it would be wise for me to tell you that, first of all, you don't need to blow through necessarily as much currency as I did. You don't need to be like Maven dominance orbing stuff, and that is, you know, a luxury, high risk, high reward thing. These gloves are very easy to make, fairly cheap if you settle. And what that entails is really the only hard part is hitting the first 2 mods, and then you reforge, crit, and you just take whatever roll range it gives you. It's guaranteed. And then you do it again for the prefix speed, and you get whatever roll range it gives you, and then you just don't even bother with the Veil Orb. You just like Exalt, Slam, and then, you know, Life or whatever, and you just deal with it. And you would make those in almost, more than likely, you would make them under 10 divines if you did that. If you wanted to go higher, like kind of what I was doing, which would, you know, involves the Veil Orb, involves trying to hit all tier 1 or at least pretty high tiers, 10 to 20 divines on average, probably closer to 20. And then if you start introducing these orbs in here, I mean, you're really asking for it, and you could be blowing 50 or even 100 divines if you just kept getting screwed over, potentially. Now you can see that in the end, I decided it was quite insightful for me to figure out kind of the cheapest way to get the bases together. The beginning process was actually kind of expensive because I mandated gripped gloves. You wouldn't necessarily have to use gripped gloves, by the way. It'd be really cheap. So like random BS Elder gloves cost nothing basically. So I was, I was prepared to do a few more, and it's actually best to roll the speed on the random gloves and then to do the essence on the grip gloves. That way you might hit faster attacks as well. I guess I'll try a couple more gloves maybe later. And then do the 50-50 slam, and even if you hit the wrong base but you get the right slam, well then it's going to increase the odds of hitting it again next time, because each gripped Elder pair of gloves is like 1 or 2 divines investment, considering, you got to slam it with a Conquer Orb and then swap the influence, which, But these Conquer Orbs were the cheapest way to get the Elder influence grip gloves for me in the end. And then pure essence spammed was not the cheap way to do it either. The recombination was the best way. Based on what the market was doing as I was, deleting currency. So guys, that's it. That is how to craft these gloves. I hope this was really insightful. A bit longer video than I wanted it to be, but I'll give you the full time lapse. So there you got it. Let me know if you still have any questions. Crazy high requested video, and I wanted to give you the full shebang. The real deal. Not even using Craft of Exile, actually crafting the gloves. So if you have any remaining questions, let me know in the comments down below, and let me know if you like these gloves. If you got a decent pair yourself, you might find some of these showing up in the market you can buy, but do keep in mind that it's not really as expensive as I make it out to be, unless you're talking about like elevated mods, then it is. So with that, I am out of here. We'll get some more farming videos in play. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.